Hey everybody, Jason Davis here. Davis up front on Compass Football. The World Cup has hit the round of 16, and we're here to talk about it. It's getting wild at the World Cup in Russia. The mad World Cup continues. We got a couple of games to review on today's show, and maybe look at some of the other talking points around the World Cup here as we move through the round of 16. Let's talk about Brazil and Mexico. Let's talk about the challenge for Mexico, trying to get to that fifth game, El Quinto Partido, for the first time in their history. If you go and look at the past, it's round of 16, round of 16, rounds of 16, round of 16, at every single World Cup for Mexico. Juan Carlos Osorio, the man tasked with getting Mexico to the fifth game, and per his reputation as the tinkerer, he decided to make some changes for this match, starting 39-year-old Rafa Marquez in midfield. Now, Rafa Marquez is one of the greatest players in Mexican football history. He certainly deserves a ton of respect for what he's done for Mexico, but it was a surprise to see him in the midfield. You had Moreno out, Ayala in because of a yellow card suspension, and the other side, Brazil making a single change, Marcelo out of the lineup. He had been out of the lineup because of injury. Felipe Luis steps in at left back. So you lose one of the best attacking left backs in the world, but maybe get some more defensive stability. Talking points ahead of the game. One, could Chucky Lozano continue his run for Mexico? His star turn for L3, he'd be going up against Wagner on the other side, the other Brazilian fullback. And then you had Neymar. Would he be targeted by Mexico again? Would they be kicking him the same way everybody else in this tournament has been kicking him? And, of course, would Neymar play act his way through the game as he's done so much in this tournament? Now, in the end, this is what you got. A 2-0 win for Brazil. But the game is not told through just the scoreline, the story of the game. The story of the game is that Mexico had the advantage for the first 20 or 25 minutes of this match. They had the opportunity. They were pressing the tempo. They were making it hard on Brazil. Brazil wasn't having much joy in the attacking end of the field. But Mexico didn't make it count. They didn't find the goal that would have set them up to maybe control things through a 1-0 scoreline and maybe have an opportunity to tack on. Instead, the first half came and went, and then when Brazil got their foot on the ball, a little bit of energy, Neymar comes through in the 51st minute to score the goal that really broke the Mexicans back. Even at that point, watching the game, you didn't necessarily feel like Mexico had a way back. Decisions in the attacking third, terrible throughout the day for Mexico, and that falls on Chicharito Hernandez, it falls on Chucky Lozano, it falls on numerous players who stepped on the field for Mexico. It just did not work. Juan Carlos Osorio's hands were tied when it came to the attack. They lacked the bite. And then, in the 88th minute, a substitute, Roberto Firmino. Questions of whether or not he should start over Gabriel Jesus. Well, he scored a goal as a substitute in this match. And just not the legs there for Mexico. You could see Carlos Salcedo laboring to get to the back post and keep Firmino from finding the end of that pass. And that was it. That was the game. Now, in the end, Juan Carlos Osorio didn't necessarily see it as simply as that. He said that the referees had something to do with this game, and he talked about Neymar. Now, without naming Neymar, if you look at this quote, Neymar's nowhere in it. We had control of the match, but to me, it was just shameful that so much time could be lost over one player. The delay for the player was even 4 minutes, and that is a lesson for even children who play. This should be a game of men and not so much of clowning around. Now, look, again, Neymar flops. There's no doubt about that. He rolls, he exaggerates, he play acts, he does a lot of things in order to get the sympathy of the referee. He also gets fouled a ton. And the things I have issue with here from Juan Carlos Osorio. One, a man's game. Okay, let's put that away. We don't need that. That verges on sexism. Look, plenty of women play the sport. You know, let's not make this a man versus women thing. Let's not make this a machismo thing. Second of all, again, to pull into this, kids see it as if Neymar's some sort of horrible influence on the children. Neymar is going to spoil the youth. It seems to me that a lot of the criticism coming Neymar's way is coming from the same tired corners we've seen time in and time out when it comes to diving, when it comes to embellishment, when it comes to this play acting. It's largely English-speaking media clutching at pearls. It's not to say that Neymar could do better, that he shouldn't dive, that he shouldn't stay on his feet when he can, or that sometimes he doesn't milk it for everything it's worth. But he is also one of the most fouled players in the game, and he remains one of the most brilliant players in the game. Neymar is elite, and you saw it in that game against Mexico. He drove Brazil to that win, and if they go on to win the World Cup, we're going to be talking about Neymar's influence because it was massive. Now, while I say all of that, I am not above having a little fun at Neymar's excuse, including the memes. The memes, people. We've got Neymar memes flying over. Two of my favorites here from Twitter, the Neymar doll on the ground, insane level of realism there from soccer memes, and then you've got Neymar on the ground during the anthem. Neymar, but it's only the anthem. Stay on your feet. Again, I'm okay with the memes. I have fun with the memes. And in fact, maybe this is a little too far. Maybe this one is where we should draw the line. Neymar in a meme video, rolling on the sideline, rolling on the highway, rolling through traffic, nearly getting hit by a truck, rolling down the pastoral plain. I don't know what this... Oh, Neymar crashed. Neymar, careful Neymar, whatever you do, be careful. Look, again, maybe down a hill. Now, the biggest crime Neymar has committed in this tournament, as far as I can tell, is that he got us a meme with some Limp Bizkit in it. Man, I haven't heard that song in 15 years, and I prefer not to hear it again for at least another 15 years, and maybe that's the argument for Neymar to stop diving and rolling. All right, let's talk about the other game because it was an absolute barn burner. Belgium and Japan ended up 3-2, 5-goal thriller. Fantastic match, and you have to give the Japanese a ton of credit here. They didn't spring the upset in the end, but they certainly looked capable. They went up 2-0 on great goals from Genki Haraguchi and Takashi Inui, 5 minutes apart in the second half, just after halftime, to stun Belgium, absolutely stun Belgium. Now, this is where Belgium gets a little interesting. They certainly have the talent. We now know about De Bruyne and Hazard and Lukaku and everybody else in this team. We know they can get the job done. Roberto Martinez has been questioned in his leadership of this side, whether or not he sets them up properly so they can take advantage of all of that talent. In the second half, down 2 goals, 65th minute changes, Marouane Fellaini for Yannick Carrasco, and Nasser Chadli for Dries Mertens. Not necessarily the kind of substitutions you say that make a lot of sense for a team down 2 goals. You need goals, you bring on Fellaini, you bring on Chadli. Really? Those are the play. Now, ultimately, Roberto Martinez was proven correct. Vertonghen gets one back for Belgium in the 65th minute on a looping header past Kawashima. Tough on Kawashima. That thing was perfectly placed. I don't think that Vertonghen had any idea he was putting the ball in the net, but certainly Belgium would take it. And then Marouane Fellaini, the man that came in, the surprise substitution in the 65th minute, a midfield player. But he's got the height. He gets on the end of those crosses. He gets on the end of one from Eden Hazard. He puts it in the back of the net. And now Belgium's level. And you think, okay, they might have the horses to go on here. Japan at that point, they did not stop attacking. They kept coming after it. They did not sit back. You got to give them credit for that. But ultimately, they paid the price because in the 94th minute, with the clock ticking away, they were almost to extra time. A corner kick. Japan puts numbers up. Thibaut Courtois catches, rolls the ball out for Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne, with eating up space in the midfield, finds Meunier on the sideline, or in the right flank rather, because Romelu Lukaku has made an excellent run to draw the center back away from that flank. Meunier plays the ball across, and what does Lukaku do? Does he swing? Does he take, with a player on him, does he take a chance that he's going to get his shot blocked or miss completely? No, he lets it run. Chadli's in behind. Chadli puts the ball in the back of the net, and Belgium wins. Fantastic. Look, I had my doubts about Belgium before this tournament began. I didn't think they had the goods. I didn't think they had the fortitude to pull this off. They have the talent. But here, this is the game when you start to really believe that maybe Belgium can be the ones to lift the trophy. Now, here's the problem for Belgium. They've got to deal with Brazil in this next round of the World Cup. Let's take a look at the knockout rounds. We got some of the scores. popped in here for you. You can see Spain and Russia, obviously Russia progressing, Croatia and Denmark, Croatia moving forward on penalties, Uruguay and Portugal up there, France moving past Argentina, Brazil beating Mexico 2-0. Down there on the bottom, Belgium and Japan, the game that we're just talking about now, we know that is Belgium with a 3-2 win over Japan. So Belgium has to come in and face Brazil in the quarterfinals. Look, again, Belgium's got the talent. There's no doubt about that. They could go and lift this trophy. But man, they've got to figure out how to beat Brazil now. Will they be doing the same sort of thing, trying to take out Neymar? There's plenty of talent on the Brazilian side. Chichi has set them up very, very well here to potentially go on and win the tournament themselves. But that could be a brilliant game of attacking football. Now, we also have the round of 16s continuing across the board, getting ready to see who wins these games in the rest of the round of 16 to set up the quarterfinals. It's been an incredible tournament to this point. Man, I just can't say enough about how fun this has been so far. We're really enjoying this World Cup. It's proven to be a little bit more exciting than I think a lot of people expected here from Russia. Sometimes the World Cup arrives, teams kind of sit back, settle in. You've seen some defensive soccer, and it is interesting to see that largely the possession numbers tend to favor the loser in a lot of these matches. We're getting some attacking soccer, we're getting some fun games. Certainly a Belgium-Japan game was one of the most brilliant ones in the tournament. A couple of stories here to hit on before we get out of here. I think this one is extremely interesting. Obviously, Germany's story of missing out on the World Cup and missing out on the knockout rounds, rather, and crashing out has led a lot of people to believe that there's going to be changes coming for the German FA as they move into the post-World Cup period. However, it looks like Joachim Loew is going to stay on despite their exit. The defending champions, of course, finished bottom of Group G after they lost to South Korea 2-0 in that final group stage match. I feel, in spite of the legitimate criticism of our departure, generally much support and encouragement, said Loew. But now I want to design the rebuilding with full commitment. It all takes time, but everything will happen in time for the start of the new international season in September. Now, you get the Europe moving to the Nations League. You got a Euros coming up in 2 years. Look, Jogi Löw has done amazing things with Germany, led them to a World Cup title in 2014, but it would be shocking to see him stay on. And a less fun story here as we get ready to close out this episode of Davis Up Front that I want to touch on with John Obi Mikel, certainly the Nigerian midfielder, one of the greats for the Super Eagles. It turns out that in that final match against Argentina in the group stage that Nigeria ultimately lost, John Obi Mikel was playing while his father was kidnapped in Nigeria. Here's some quotes. "I was confused. I did not know what to do. But in the end, I knew that I could not let 180 million Nigerians down. I had to shut it out of my head and go and represent my country first. I was told that they would shoot my dad instantly if I reported to the authorities or told anybody. And I did not want to discuss it with the coach because I did not want my issue to become a distraction to the coach or the rest of the team on the day of such an important game. So as much as I wanted to discuss it with the coach, I could not do it." Now, if you're wondering about the fate of John Obi Mikel's father, well, good news. Turns out that they did ultimately get him released. He was recovered by police after a gun duel. No money changed hands. The demand? $28,000. So on June 26th, while playing Argentina, John Obi Mikel had to deal with his dad being abducted in Nigeria, threatened to be shot if somebody didn't pay them $28,000, the abductors. Man, it's a terrible story. I'm glad that John Obi Mikel's father is safe. Michael Obi is safe. That's great news for him. And man, you have to wonder if that changed things for Nigeria, of course, in that game against Argentina, with John Obi Mikel there having to deal with that stuff back home. All right, thanks very much for watching Davis Up Front. Make sure you like and subscribe. That's the word I'm looking for. And tell your friends. Tell everybody you know about Compass Football and about Davis Up Front. We'll be unveiling new shows in the post-World Cup period. Davis Up Front will continue covering MLS, the European season, international football, and all the stories around the globe when it comes to the beautiful game. All right, that's going to do it for us. I will see you soon.